Hey guys, it's Sarah here and welcome back to another bookshop review. Before we get into the book that we are going to be talking about today, let's just get on with the shop first. I have brought some apple and eve fruit punch. I also have my dagger scissors with me, so I'm just gonna cut the side, like cut this part off, and then we're just gonna pour it into a shot. Cheers. The book that we're going to be talking about today has been going viral on TikTok, and that is also where I got my recommendation to read it. And it's the book Don't Let Her Stay by Nicola Sanders. I'm going to be making a spoiler video for this as well, so make sure you go check that out if you did read it. But if you haven't read it, then just stick to this video because this one is for you. For the cover, I'm gonna give this one a solid 3. I feel like the design is pretty simple. It's kind of basic. Even the title is not really that intriguing to me. The only reason why I'm giving it a 3, which means I would gladly put it up on my bookshelf, like I wouldn't be ashamed of it on my bookshelf, is only because if you're in the book community, you're most likely going to know this book. I wouldn't really want to hide it because people will know it. Next is the plot. The story is told in the perspective of a stay-at-home mom named Joanna, and she lives in a beautiful home with her husband Richard and their baby daughter Evie. Life was going great for this little family until Richard's 21-year-old daughter from his previous marriage decides to turn back up into his life. Chloe and Richard have not spoken to each other since the 2 years that Richard and Joanne have been married. But one day, out of the blue, Chloe decides to make peace. Richard was over the moon that his daughter wanted to talk to him again, and Chloe even offered to help Joanne babysit. Not only is Joanne starting to feel a little uneasy about the new guest, but the fear that something is going to happen to her daughter Evie makes her start losing her mind. This plot, wow. I could be biased in the sense that this is technically my first psychological thriller that I read. I did try reading them in the past, but they all just fell flat. I was never into it. I'm too impatient, and the build up to the books were never good enough for me to want to just wait it out. So technically, this is the first book that I read that I really liked. I will say though, the writing is very basic. Falls a little flat for me. Nothing about the writing is sophisticated. It's not difficult to read. It's actually a very easy, very flowy, very simple book. It just doesn't feel like there's that many Easter eggs that I would expected from a psychological thriller. You're kind of just going along with the ride, but nothing about it makes you like really look into it. It's just a very simple, basic read. I don't know how I feel about that. Maybe I just don't have enough knowledge in psychological thriller for me to judge in that aspect, but it's just not something that I expected. So I will say in the beginning, I wasn't as into it as I thought it would be. This book I actually did read with a friend. We both were kind of on the same page that we wanted to know what happens, but we weren't as invested and obsessed with the book. The story doesn't drag out. I guess some people can argue that it does, but I personally don't think it does at all. The pacing of it, in my opinion, was just perfect. There really isn't much of a world build. You're really just kind of in Joanne's thoughts and her day-to-day life. In its own way, it was very engaging. I was really into it. And definitely by, I would say, like, chapter 25, I just didn't want to put the book down. I just wanted to get to the end. I was speed reading. I was literally speed reading that thing. For that, I'm going to be giving the plot a 4 out of 5. Next we have is the romance, and I don't want to say the romance is dead in this. Like, technically, Richard and Joanne are married, so they are in love, but it's not the typical love story that you're thinking about. Let's see. I'm gonna give it a 2. Why I'm gonna give it a 2? I don't want to go into too much detail, but I will say to a very small degree, to a tiny little point, the motive, I guess you can kind of say does fall in the category of love. But it's not crazy where it deserves a 3 and up. So I don't want to say that love is completely dead in this book. It's somewhere there. Just somewhere. You really gotta think about it, but it's somewhere there. Next is tears, which will be getting a 0 because I did not cry in this book at all. Next are the characters, which I will be giving a 5 out of 5. The characters in this book was just magnificent. The characteristics were not perfect. Nothing about them were perfect. All of them had a lot of flaws, but it fit the storyline so well that every single character I had some type of emotion toward. I was suspicious of everyone. No one can be trusted in this book. In the beginning, I did not like Joanne. Some other characters I really didn't like in the beginning, and then I kind of felt bad for them at the end. Others I just never liked from the beginning until the end, but there was a moment where I guess I would kind of hiccup and be like, oh, they're not that bad. The emotions were everywhere in this one, and all of those emotions involved the characters. So, amazing job, Miss Sanders. Overall, I'm going to be giving this an 8 out of 10. As much as I loved the ending, the writing style was just too simplistic for me. I personally thought it needed a little more of a kick, a little more of something to really spice the story up, for me to really love the story. Again, like I said before, I wish that there was a little bit more of like a psychological aspect where it kind of makes my brain hurt. But you know what? It is what it is, and overall, I still think that this book was amazing. So that was it for my review of Don't Let Her Stay by Nicola Sanders. I had an amazing experience with this book. I definitely think this helped me to be more open-minded to psychological thrillers. I had so much fun, and I definitely am thinking of trying some other ones. I definitely think this helped me open a new floodgates of book options. I think I am now finally open-minded to trying psychological thrillers. I do have a couple in mind, so that is very exciting. But if you guys have any book recommendations for beginner psychological thriller readers, then please let me know down below. Also, go check out the spoiler video if you have already read the book, because that was it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, leave a comment down below. I make sure to read every single one of them, and I'll see you guys next time with Sarah. Bye!